Note, the following program is a Springer Podcast Network production.
The views and opinions expressed on The Crystal Show are those of the host and are based on personal experiences and opinions. This podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical, mental health, legal, or financial advice. Some episodes may contain discussions of mental health, anxiety, depression, trauma, sexual abuse, child abuse, parenting, grief, relationships, and other emotionally sensitive topics that may be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. If you are struggling with your mental health or another serious issue, please seek assistance from a qualified professional. Topics discussed on this podcast reflect the host's personal experiences and opinions and are not intended to offend, shame, or target any individual or group.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new and improved Crystal Show. I'm Crystal. Well, I know the question is, what happened? What happened was my last podcast I did was, I think, the Black Dahlia, and life happened. I am now a mother. I have a little boy. He's 5 years old now. Some of you that do know me, that was probably watching this, knows I also married. I got my I got a tattoo instead of wearing the rings. So yeah, like, life just went on, and then I started slowly losing interest in the podcast, and now. But let's talk about what I'm going to do in my podcast. I'm going to talk about basically a little bit about myself and things I'm going through, like mental health, because there's a lot of stuff going out there right now that I really feel like half of it is just people that needs to get help, especially with their mental health. Like, I honestly believe that they really, really, really just need some help. And we're going to talk about other things. So yeah, honestly, like, I ended up, what I want to talk about now is, like, I ended up really gotta stay hydrated for that voice. But anyways, I ended up, like I said, having a baby. That took, a few months away, a lot. Going through some, being a mother first time, really learning a lot of stuff. I have this job where I feel like it takes a lot of my time away from me. So I will not say anything about my job. If you guys do know me from my job, you know what I'm talking about. I am not going to say anything on this podcast about it because I don't need them coming after me or trying to get me like, you said bad things. So no, I am not going to say the names of anybody on this podcast. So if you think I'm talking about you, most likely I am not. It is nothing about no current people. I mean, if I am, it's only because I'm saying good, positive things. If I'm not, if I'm talking about other things, like bad things, it is mostly because these happen to other people. I'm telling you right now, like, I would not talk bad about you on a podcast unless if you really did me dirty and I'm no longer talking to you now. So if I'm talking to you and you're still my friend or your family, whatever, like, you got nothing to worry about. But if I barely talk to you, well, we'll see how this goes. But yeah. But anyway, so yeah, let's talk about parenthood real quick, since I am a mother. I feel, yeah, when I ended up taking the test, the pregnancy test, I ended up really excited. I was actually nervous because I was like, what? And then yeah, then I was excited. But during that time, like my husband wasn't, we weren't together. Okay, we were just, I will say it, friends with benefits. And that's how we end up having my son. Well, I told him right away, like, hey, I'm pregnant. I, you're the dad. Because, I knew he was the dad. He was the only one I slept with. But we didn't try to work anything out because we wanted to, wait. We didn't want anybody trying to get into our relationship. And we didn't want anybody to try to say things and cause drama because, it's really important that, pregnant women don't go through a lot of stress. Why? Because it can cause problems in the pregnancy. So we decided to not do that. Just, we're gonna wait until ours baby was born, and we decided this way before we even knew what we were having. So we decided that we're just gonna wait. So when I told him, when I found out I was having a little boy, I was excited. That was fun, actually, finding out, because I was laying there, they were putting a little thing on my stomach, and my little boy was so shy that he would put his foot like right there where you can't see anything. So they're like, I remember the lady saying, oh, you're gonna have a little girl, it looks like. And he's like, boop, surprise. So yeah, ultrasounds can actually be really fun. Because sometimes your baby's like, oh, I'm shy, hello. And then they're like, haha, surprise. So yeah, ultrasounds are really fun. Hearing the heartbeat for the first time is fun. I about cried on both of when I first heard the heartbeat, when when I saw the little pictures, everything. It's emotional, but it's really, really fun. So anybody that's planning to have their first kid, it's really important. It is fun to find everything, especially like they'll do ultrasounds when they're like little bitty bitty babies, like yay big. I mean, and they'll be like little tiny gummy bears at first. Like that's how I can describe. They're like a little bean or something, and then you can see how big they get. So yeah, it's really fun to go to the doctors and get the ultrasounds and all that, and track how many weeks you are compared, like, oh, this is how, because some people actually compares the babies to, like, at first they start out as a little tiny seed and then they grow like how big, and you can see like, oh, they're as big as an avocado or something like that. And then yeah, so I see all these like fun things that you can do, and it's really exciting. But so finally when I had my son on April 19th, I yeah, it was just me and my mom. And then the next day my husband, now, like, he was just I guess you just say we were friends with benefits, so we were just a friend. He comes in, we do a DNA test. That same week, but that Friday, I get the test. He's the daddy. So of course, we worked everything out, and now we're together and we got married. So yeah. But anyways, why being in the hospital, like, they don't really tell you a lot of things. Like, in health class, they don't tell you a lot of things. And in the hospital, it's kind of like, why are you guys talking like this? Like I'm not here, Because I had nurses kind of talk to each other, and I'm like, I'm getting that look like, I am right here, thank you. But yeah, so if you guys are planning to have a kid, I will tell you, when you're in that hospital room, like what they did to me is I waited until almost like 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get my epidural. And then as soon as my epidural hit, I took a nap. Like I was just like, you know what, nap time. It's fine. It's nap time. It's sleepy time. Well, then I felt this like big pressure, and it's like, do I have to go to the bathroom or what? Well, I got told it was time to push. It's time to have the baby. And I was like, that's why I feel like there's a big pressure coming. Well, before that, you do feel the pressure. Well, I felt the pressure, and my doctor comes in, and he has to pop me. He has to take this big thing, go in and pop, so I can go into labor. And well, some of the water, that when your water breaks, only a little bit came out. And he was like, that wasn't a lot. The way he just said it, I was like, oh, what do you mean that wasn't a lot? Like that, there was supposed to be more? I mean, what? Is there more? Like, this is my first child. So when people says things, I'm kind of like, what do you mean? And you will do that. There will be things like you will hear, and you're just like, what are you talking about? So I was kind of a little freaked out, but it was okay, because what that means is the rest of the water was behind my child. So remember, his head is down, his feet's backwards. The water is behind his feet. So when it came time for me to push, that water would push out and help him go. Like a slip and slide. So yes, I make that joke to my friends at work too. I'll be like, yes, my little son was like when he was born, he was just on a slip and slide, like whoop. So I think literally after the doctor popped me, my water, I guess you say, like, forced my water to break. Literally an hour later, it was time for me to push. So some people says you don't go into labor until your water broke. And there's some people that I hear stories that they're like, oh, I was in labor for 16 hours or something like that. And I'm like, what? I mean, if you go into labor when your water breaks, then I was only in labor for an hour, I guess. I don't know. Don't question me. I had the best. I was just living life at that time. I was just like, I have my epidural. I'm just ready to push this child out, and I'm just in the hospital, just ready. But thank God I had my mom with me, and I love this woman to death. Like, she was with me through every step of my pregnancy. Like, she took me to my doctor's appointment. She would go in there when I was every time I had to go to the OB place. She was there staying at the hospital with me. She was really there for me. And anytime I was kind of scared through my pregnancy. Like, I was just really scared, because at first, when you're having a baby, like, you don't really know what you're doing. Even with your second one, your doctor will be like, well, you need to take like 3 months of bed rest at first, and then you can be fine to do things. And then it'll be like, oh, your last 2 months, you really need to be on bed rest. And it's like, what's going on? Am I okay? It's every child's different. Every pregnancy is different, and it's not going to happen twice. Some people says their first pregnancy is the best, and their second pregnancy, they have a little complications, or, their first pregnancy, they had a complications, and their second one, it's fine. Every pregnancy is different. I just don't know how people did it back in the day with no epidural. That would suck. Props to you women who doesn't take the epidural. I don't know how you can do it. I mean, I was a 8-pound 5-ounce baby. My son was 8 pounds 3 ounces, so I felt what my mom felt. But anyways, yeah, so son was born and I was just in the hospital for the next few days. I finally get released. I decided to go to my grandma's house. And my grandma, she got so excited. Like, I was like, hey, guess what? I had a baby. She was like, ah. I have the pictures where she got to hold my son, and my son's like, he's kind of like looking at her like, who are you? But yeah, good times. Anyways, so yeah, having my child was a really experience for me, for my life. Then, I worked things out with his dad, who is now my husband, because we got married. And I'm gonna tell you, I mean, you can see us back over there, that picture. See the picture? That one right there. That's me and him. Yeah, we're pretty much happy. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Every relationship has its up and downs. Me and my husband still has our ups and downs, and and life is gonna test us, especially when our son, as the older he gets, because you know what they say, the older they get, the mouthier they get, they think they know what's best. And me and my husband just has to work through it. We are somewhat on the same page now, but it's still, I don't know, it's still kind of hard because I work at a factory. I make parts, and I'm not going to say what I make. I'm not going to say the name of my job. I want to keep my job because I'm making somewhat good money there, especially when I do overtime. I get paid every week, and when I do overtime, most of the times I'm almost bringing in $1,000. Poop. But yeah. So right now, like, this job, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little frustrating. Like, every job has its moments. And that will be a whole podcast itself. I will talk about burnouts and stuff because I'm living through it. I'm living how some places our politics, and I do believe my husband is going to talk about that on his podcasts. So please stay tuned for that one. But yeah, so yeah, guys, I've just, life happened. I had my son, I had some things to do. I've just kind of grew out of the podcast, or I just never found the time to do anything, because sometimes you just will have to work, or do things. But sometimes it does feel like you're just up against a wall all the time when you're having mental health. If you're really having problems with mental health, please seek professional help. There are times people just say, I'm fine, I'll get through it, whatever. I get it's expensive, but sometimes you don't realize that you need things like medication to kind of help you. And that is what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to also go to a therapist and see if I need any certs of medication and all this. I do have this app where it's an AI app basically, and you talk to the AI app. And I really started talking to this AI app, and it really got me to realize, like, I don't think I know that I really need to go and talk to an actual therapist and maybe get on some medication or something. So I'm trying to change for the better, and I realized there's a lot of stuff that I should have a long time ago. Well, even when it happened, my parents should have really focused on trying to help me to get better help, but things didn't really go that way, and I am the way I am today because I was basically forced to be told help is just closing the door on it. You don't need to dwell on it, and that's not. No, guys, if you are having some trouble in your life, seek help, get help, talk to somebody who can help. Even if it means I know, like, things are expensive now, but honestly, I would rather hear people got help than say, oh, well, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. Nah, it's pettiness. I played high school. I'd done high school. I was so immature still after high school, and I don't want to still be immature. I'm only 29 years old. Next year I'll be 30. I don't want people to keep on looking at me like I'm gonna just be like that, high school, immature, like, she's a mom. What's her kid gonna be? Well, my kid is only 5, so all right, shush, whatever. But it means, like, how he's gonna be when he grows up. So yes, that's what I mean, guys. When you are having some trouble in your life, you need to go get help, because I didn't, and I'm learning that, I'm starting to suffer some consequences from it, like from my actions. Because actions have consequences, and as I'm going to tell you right now, is all I do is go to work and come home, sleep, get up and do it again. Like, I'll take a shower, but I feel like that's all I do. And some days, like, it's 4:33 right now on a Sunday, but I just feel like I don't want to really do anything, and I want to be able to go out and have fun. I want to go and just maybe feel like I'm free for once. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm just in this same old thing going. I want to break free, and I want to hang out with people I like. And these girls at work that I work with, I really like them, and I really would like one day to hang out with them, and maybe we can have fun. But yeah, but guys, honestly, like, I also, another thing is, I had trauma in my life, and the trauma that happened was bad. It's horrible. Now, the reason why I'm gonna tell you what it is, and this is gonna be, it's really hard to talk about. You guys have to remember I was 7, and yes, I told you I'm 29 now, but sometimes I didn't have, this is what I'm talking about, is when you're having issues with past traumas, because sometimes past traumas can still haunt you to your future, because some stuff can happen to where it clicks to the past trauma and all that. So what happened was I was at my mom's for the summer. It was just me, her, and her boyfriend she was living with. My mom had to work. So she leaves to go to work. Person picked her up to go to work. I ended up being watched by her boyfriend. I know probably some of you was like, oh my God, no. Yes. He took advantage and the signs were there. I just don't think my mom knew. I really hope. It was kind of hard for her to know because, she was working and she always worked like the third shift. She was a nurse and she worked at she worked at whatever they call it. Sorry guys, I'm a little. So she works third shift. She worked there for like so many years. So that's when he like took his advantage and yeah. Yeah. My mom didn't know at all. My mom never knew. Now some of you are like, well, you told your mom. I did not. So what happened was after he did what he did, I was like, I cried and I told him I would tell my mom. And he looked at me and he put the fear of God into me. Like he choked me out almost. And he said that if I told my mom, one, she would die. And two, she would never really believe me anyways. Because he could make my mom believe him instead of me. And so yeah, the fear of living in my head and every time I had to look at him, and it was for a long while, like I think maybe a good month or two, maybe longer. I can't really remember because it's been so long. He would just do this to me over and over. Sometimes it was like it started in the summer, then it would go for school time. Well, when it was school time, I acted out in school. As you know, some people would. And I started blaming my friends for stealing my lunch. I started just being bad. Like, and I was only in the second grade, guys. When I tell you, as an adult, if your child is acting out, they're not doing it because they're being bad. They might be trying to tell you something. So please sit down with your child. Or if you have a niece and nephew, please sit down and talk to them. And tell them that, you know what, tell them that whatever they say, they're safe. That nothing can hurt them. Make sure they're in a safe, like reassure them. And if they still don't want to tell you, do stuff that makes them feel safe and build that safe haven around them, around yourself, so they have the enough to trust you, build that trust up, build this, so they can come and tell you. Sorry guys, this is kind of really emotional and I'm really sorry. But this is what I mean, like, I'm gonna let you know, like, as an adult, I would really wish people would really, like, as when I was a child, people would see the signs, like, would see what I was trying to tell them. Because sometimes kids, especially at a young age, like my son, sometimes he acts out because he just wants attention or just because he's trying to tell me something. So one day, my son was acting out and I said, "What happened?" He told me that he got hurt. Like, he was at my dad's one weekend and he said that somebody punched him. And I said, "Well, did you tell anybody?" He goes, "No." And I'm like, so I told my dad, I texted my dad and I was like, "Hey, I don't know what I was like, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but seriously, y'all need to either not have all the kids at the same time because there's 4 grandkids. You either separate them or my son comes on different weekends because he's telling me now he just got punched. And I don't know if this is true or not, but you guys didn't, like, he's afraid to tell you guys because he's afraid he's going to get his butt beat. And if you guys are just spanking my kid because of the other kids, my son is not coming when those kids fucking come." Like, sorry, I'm a little. So, I mean, that was just my mom instincts. Like, you know. But I'm really wishing somebody would have saw that my acting up and pushing away my friends was just me trying to tell them something. Like, tell them, "Hey, I need you." Well, what happened was I told my parents that people were stealing my food from when that wasn't true. I gave it away because my mom's boyfriend had it in my head that he called me ugly, he called me fat, and then he's like, "Nobody's gonna want you." So all this food I was having for my lunch, I was giving it away, and then I lied and told my parents that they were stealing it. So my teacher, I thought maybe if my teacher doesn't find a note that my mom wrote, well, it was right there in my folder. She saw it, she read it, she told the other kids. The kids kind of said, "No, that's a lie." I got in trouble. Nobody wanted to be my friend, and then I went home. I got in trouble at home for something. Probably acting out too, because that was the worst day for me. And my dad was a 77. He was born in 1977. So he was raised through the 80s and 90s. So, you know what that means. He was heavy on discipline. That basically you got your ass beat if you fucked up. So, of course, like, I had already had my ass beat. And then I'm like, well, of course. And some of you might say, "Well, that's child abuse." Really? I'll tell you, I'll spank my kid if he acts up. I don't do it hard. And there's CPS people that also spanks their kids. They said spanking is not child abuse, it's discipline. So, don't be coming on here and be like, "That's fucking child abuse." There are some parents that I know that takes their kids out in public, and because their kids get whatever the fuck they want, their kids throw that fucking tantrum because you can't tell them no. My kid the other day threw a big ass fit because his dad told him no, he couldn't have a play gun. And he threw this big ass fit because the grandparents takes him into the store and immediately he's like, "Oh, I want a toy, I want this, and they buy it for him. Excuse me? like, excuse me, but you guys buying him these toys and stuff is what's causing his behavior issues for us. So, yeah. So what happened was, back to my what I was saying story. No, we get off a track. So what happened was, I ended up getting in trouble. I got in trouble at home. My teacher ended up calling the school. Well, it was calling my house, which I absolutely fucking hated that. Like, I don't know why she had the right to call my parents and say shit. It was dealt with at school. I thought you dealt with it at school, but no. So, the teacher called my parents. My parents bust my ass again. And finally, I broke down and cried. And I said, and my dad's like, I would deal with you in your room. And I finally told my dad, I was like, oh, just like so and so does. And he's like, what? What? And I said, yeah, so and so deals with me in his room every time I go over to my mom's. And he's like, what do you mean? And yeah, I finally told him everything that was happening, and my dad realized, and then that's when my dad realized that, his little girl is doing this. And I remember I had to go to certain doctors because they had to do tests and stuff. And yeah, guys, it was not good. My mom was finally over this dude. Like, my mom did break up with this guy. Um, and I think this was like a week before all this is happening, but it wasn't until like a week after that, it came out. And sometimes that happens, but please read the signs. Please read signs that if somebody's starting to change, there's a reason why they're changing. Whether it's bullying, sexual abuse, any type of abuse, read those signs, guys, and build that safeness, build that trust with them so they can understand that they can get the help they need. Especially children nowadays, because some of these parents just don't give a fuck about their kids. It's like they literally just had kids to collect a check. And that's wrong. It is so wrong. You should not have kids to just collect a check. I know right now that I have a cousin whose mom literally left him. I don't know where she's at. Nobody really knows where she's at. She don't even call him to wish him happy birthday. She don't really do anything with him. She left him. She already has her 2 kids. I know, like, the same woman that left her 1 kid, she had 2 kids previously, and all of a sudden she's like, she one day was sitting there and said, instead of taking them and sitting them down and telling them, like, hey, this is what's happening, because their dad, I guess, got this woman pregnant, right? And he said, well, he's not dealing with 3 kids. So he made the decision that since he actually, like, married this woman, that once the kid was born, he's not dealing with his other 2. His oldest and his middle child. So what happened was, finally they post on Facebook, oh, the baby's here, the baby was born. She saw it on Facebook and she goes, you guys ain't going to your dad's anymore. That baby's born. Right out in front of everybody. And I told my mom, I was like, she gonna sit them down and explain that to them? Like, come on. So we really have to start reading the signs, because there's signs there. When people start shutting down, guys, or starts acting out, we really need to find a new, like, please read the signs, please. Because now, I just be like, leave me the fuck alone. I don't care. I'll still tell you today, it's my mess to deal with. So, but yeah, that's basically what I'm going to talk about is mental health. What other things about like stress related. If anybody has a anything they want to say, um you can always message us on the Springer network, social network. And we can always put what you have to say. But honestly, guys, if you're going to be negative, then obviously, whatever. Go away. We don't care. We can just put you out on our podcast and make you embarrass yourself. I don't know. But that's all I'm going to talk about for now. I just want to give you a little bit about me and why today was about getting help. But we'll continue talking about in the next episode about help and children, and especially when it comes to children, because that's a tale. Like, I see a lot of people nowadays going through these like problems, and I feel like and children get hurt because of it, and I'm like, then why are we not checking their mental health? Why are we not checking them first? So yeah, I will see you all next time. Bye.